I'm Brenda Earl Stokes, the owner and creator of Piano Skills for Singers and Piano and Voice with Brenda. After the video that I posted last week, I got a whole bunch of people reaching out to me and asking me how I got my kid to practice every day. So I wanted to detail that experience in a way that would help you if maybe you are also a parent trying to get your child or children to practice on a daily basis. But it also really works well if you're trying to get yourself to practice. If you're someone who's maybe taking one of my online courses, or you've studied piano before and it's a habit you're trying to get back into. So I'm going to share with you the best that I can to kind of explain how I got this done. So to set the story, I started teaching my son piano lessons when he was about 4. I had no intentions to start him that young, but he was begging me to learn. And so I thought that was a fair enough reason. He's been seeing me teach for his entire life. And so he said, it's not fair that your students get to take lessons and I don't. So I said, okay, but if you're going to take lessons, you have to practice every day. And my son has always been a very early riser. So he would get up at 6 or 6:30. And I realized that he started going to school at that time too. So I realized that if I was going to get him to be able to practice in a focused way, I was probably better off to do that earlier in the day than to try to attempt that after school, because on some days after school there's certain activities. He would be tired. I would be busy because I frequently teach in the after school hours too. So it seemed like the easiest kind of no muss, no fuss place to be able to practice would be to do it in the mornings. And so if he gets up at 6 or 6:30, it really doesn't take that long to eat breakfast and kind of get cleaned up and get dressed for the day. So I thought, well, let me see if I can get him to practice before school. So we have to leave for school around 8:15 or 8:20 is really when we need to get our shoes on and walk out the door. And so I thought, well, let's aim at first for 7:45 in the morning. Now, I'm not saying you have to get up this ungodly hour in the morning, but I just want to show you kind of what my process was, and then maybe you could find a similar thing for yourself or for your own children, a time that works. And so rather than trying to get him to sit for 30 minutes all the time, I said, we're going to sit down every day at 7:45. And we did that for a couple of weeks where I would have to prompt, I would have to remind. I knew that 7:30 was going to be cutting it close, so I waited till 7:45, and we really established that routine over the course of a great many weeks. And then eventually, and we would sometimes only sit for 5 minutes. We would try to have 5 successful minutes of something, of me teaching him a little bit, taking him through something, and we just gently over the course of many weeks and months kind of expanded that time. And then we eventually moved it to 7:30 in the morning, which means that we can get a good 20 or 30 minute guided practice session done, because when he was little, obviously I'm not just going to say go practice, kid. So he needed some support. And nowadays, same thing, 7:30 in the morning. It took several months, but now he's very well trained so that it's a non-issue or a non-event that he just immediately goes and sits down at the piano at 7:30, and a lot of times he's there before me. So it's kind of been good for my accountability to make sure that I get myself moving in the morning. So that's how we managed to get that done. Were some mornings a disaster? Oh yes, oh yes. Oh yes, there have been a great many mornings where it's just not really working out. There's some days where we just say, you know what, forget about it, we won't do it today. But the idea with having a habit is it's something that for us to not be practicing is the exception to the rule. And that helps a lot. If it's just an automatic thing that in our house we practice the piano, this is what we do. And then that's removed from us as a family is I'm no longer having to argue with him or fight. It's not a discussion. It's not in anything. In the same way that he brushes his teeth in the morning, he knows that he has to practice in the morning. So that's really taken the fight out of it. Now, I realize I am lucky that he is very motivated because he sees me play and sees me practice. He sees me teaching. He has a strong desire to learn But I think for a lot of piano students out there, or any music student, there's a reason that they're doing it. And my experience has been that the reason that a lot of people quit is not because it's not because the lessons aren't working, it's because the practice time hasn't been established. Now, to be fair, nobody really wants to practice. Nobody really wants to move through what they're doing. Nobody wants to suck at it, honestly. Nobody wants it to be difficult. But the piano students, just from the experience as being a teacher, is the students that really stick to it are the ones that feel the progress. The ones that feel the progress are the ones that are practicing. So as teachers, we can help our students to be able to find time to troubleshoot that. As parents of piano or music students, we can also help to establish that as a routine. Now, anyone who's watching this who doesn't have children or doesn't have music children, or his children are grown and they're not your, whether they practice or not is not your problem anymore, you may see the parallels here of how this could work for you. So in the way that there's parallel, like where I would sit in the room with my son and help him, you could think about that if you're taking any of my online courses. Well, when you're watching the video and practicing along with any of the videos, I'm actually in the room with you, supporting you in the same way that I support my son when he's doing his work. So that's something to think about, that maybe a few times a week you have that supported time. Then you have a couple of independent sessions where you practice the work that is listed in all the downloadable print content. You can also look at your own life and say, yeah, 7:30 is no bueno for me, that I'm not going to be able to get up at that time to do it. And then instead you might say, but there is sort of this lull in the evening once the dishes are done, when I'm kind of just futzing around on my phone before I kind of sit down and do my evening routine. So maybe at 6:30, 7 o'clock every night, you can sit down for a half an hour and do some work on a consistent basis before you kind of tuck into Netflix or whatever for the night. So that's something that you might try for yourself. I know a lot of people are still working from home. Maybe you always did, or maybe because of the pandemic, working from home is something new to you. I have several students who are private students who are professional people who have started to squeeze their practice time into the lunch hour. So, you have your sandwich or whatever, and then you can sit down then, instead of, again, just scrolling or, binging out on the news or watching some junk. You could sit down and say, well, this is going to be my time to do it. And it might be something, and again, my students have told me that this has been really fantastic. It's something that's energizing. It's something that is relaxing. It's something that is probably very different than what you're doing in your work life. So you might think of it as a palate cleanser to get you ready for the afternoon. Much the same way that a lunchtime workout works, sit for 30 minutes and do your playing then. Okay, so those are a few suggestions of things that might work for you. And again, I had so many people going like, how did you get your kid to practice at 7:30 every day? It was not magic. And if you're an adult person watching this, trying to see how you can get this to work for you, it's not magic. It's a commitment. And it's something that you really have to establish as something that is as natural to you as brushing your teeth. And in the same way that brushing your teeth will keep your teeth hopefully nice and shiny and healthy, a daily practice routine is the key, is the secret to how you're really going to get to that place that you want to get. Whether you're doing it as somebody who's trying to find a way to express yourself creatively, or whether you're somebody who's maybe taking one of my piano skills for singers courses, you're a voice teacher, you're a singer, and you really see this as a skill that's important for you to gain. The best way that you're going to be able to actually tackle this is to do it every day, to practice a little bit every day. So I hope that this little video explaining all of this has been helpful for you. If you've enjoyed this content, please hit subscribe so that you can be notified of any other material that I post. If you have any questions for me, you can email me in the comment section below. My contact information is there. or leave a comment and ask me some questions. I've been playing piano for, a very, very long time. I've been teaching for over 25 years, and I have worked in a lot of different contexts. So if you have questions about how you can better use your practice time or establish a practice routine, or any questions related to music, please leave them in the comments below. I'm happy to help. Thank you for watching, and let me know how I can help you. Have a good day. Take care.